All right, so the recording has started.
That's good.
And I'm Eve. I will be moderating the panel. My pronouns are they, them. Let's, I guess, get started with introductions, starting with, I'm just going to go down the list that I have here. Starting with Helen.
Hi, I'm Helen Savore, she, her. I got started with Pathfinder Infinite because my friend Vanessa Hoskins said she wanted a co-writer for Vellum and Lace, and so that got me off my butt and actually started writing instead of looking at this like, that's really neat. I'm kind of scared. I want to do it right, so I'm going to take a few months. Aside from Vellum and Lace, I'm probably most well known for the origami folder archetype. I am a writer primarily on the platform, though I do support some people with editing as well. And I don't know, I guess I'd be, how long have I been part of the program? Well, I started from the beginning.
That's awesome.
Amazing. Amazing, yeah, it's awesome.
Hard to follow up on that.
I could have really got, yeah, whatever.
Well,
you guys,
good luck,
you guys all
Derry.
got great stories too.
Oh god, it's me.
Derry.
Hi everyone. I'm Derry. My pronouns are they, them, or he, him. I am the host of the Dice Roll podcast, the queerest Pathfinder podcast on the planet. The reason that I bring that up is because that's actually how I got started on Pathfinder Infinite. We were about to do Fists of the Ruby Phoenix, and one of the players really wanted to do a Sea Witch, and me being the extra person that I am, I decided instead of just homebrewing a Sea Witch, I'd write a whole book of witch stuff and put it on Pathfinder Infinite to give me some legitimacy to it. And then another writer, Tony Saunders, came around and said, hey, I can help with this. And flash forward a year later, I think we are among the best-selling people on the platform. We have...
You are not think.
we've done fairly okay, all things considered.
That's very humble.
I don't want to be this.
We've done okay. Yeah.
I've always
that's
wanted
me.
to play Fists of the Ruby Phoenix.
Oh, it's so good. It's generally one of my favorite campaigns I've ever run.
I'm having so much fun.
Well, next up for introductions would be Jamie.
It's me. Hi, everybody. I'm Jamie Trollope. My pronouns are he and him. I'm a writer and layout designer. Several products on Pathfinder Infinite now. Mostly GM tools, and through collaborations, I've introduced some new player options as well. I've been part of the Infinite program for about 6 months, I guess. But I've only been writing content for Pathfinder Infinite for about a year. But I've been playing tabletop RPGs for about 30 years now, which is crazy to think how big a part of my life they've been. I'm probably best known for the NPC Index line of books that provides GMs with a sort of huge bestiary of class-based humanoid NPCs for them to use for encounters. That's done pretty well over the last year. And yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of branching out into more player options over the next year. So that's me.
Very cool. And last but not least, John.
Hello, everyone. It's John Holmes here. It's he, him. And I've been writing Pathfinder Infinite content for about 11 months now. It's almost a year. And I was in the newest wave of Infinite Masters, and it's been an awesome journey, honestly. I'm probably I'm most well known for sorcerers, and some more sorcerer stuff. But I focus on player options, and I'm always about expanding those little bits that Paizo haven't quite gone around to yet.
How long have you been part of the Infinite program?
3 months? 4 months, maybe? Yeah, Infinite Masters is 3-4 months. Infinite program, like just writing, it was June last year.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a fun journey.
I will be honest, I have only relatively recently been introduced to the existence of Pathfinder Infinite, and I think it is just the coolest thing. So
It was pretty cool.
It's so good.
like that's
amazing.
kind of
It's
where
so good.
I'm at.
Mhm.
The
But
talent in that community, seriously, is so impressive.
it's exceptional. I've had the honor to work with several folks so far as we have started the process of converting Pathfinder Infinite titles for Roll20 now, which is kind of where I became aware of it and where I got involved and why I'm here now moderating this panel. So I wish I could tease some coming titles, but we actually just released several. I am blanking on their names because things move so quickly now. But we just
They're all
released
on the top
several.
banner.
They are
They're
all
all
on the
up.
top banner.
The Boosted Bestiary, the Danger
Boosted
Dossier, the Isle in the Mist,
Kinda.
and the Impossible Experience,
Guardians of Gitna.
Guardians of Gitna.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
Thank
it.
you so much.
Sure thing.
Such fantastic products too.
I keep this open most
Yeah.
of the time,
Awesome.
especially during the con.
Right. I really should have had it open.
It's all good, man.
But I do have an exciting announcement here as well, that Infinite Masters can now do print on demand. This is kind of an experiment. You have to have silver medal. Your books need to be laid out in InDesign or Affinity, and you have to go through the print process. But it's awesome. I'm really excited to see how that goes. And I look
Yeah, I
forward
want to mess
to
around with it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
and-
definitely on my agenda for this year as well. I think that's such an exciting opportunity for people. I think it's something that some people in the community have been crying out for quite a while, and now the fact that we're able to engage with that and get print on demand is just awesome. Yeah,
I think
can't
the
wait
power
to
of the
have a
community,
physical
like-
copy of-
Yeah. I want to have the book myself.
That's exactly what I was just
Who
about to
cares
say.
about everyone else?
I was just about to say exactly that. I can't wait to have a copy of, my own stuff, but all of your stuff as well.
Mhm.
Only if you sign them for me, though.
Yeah, I'll go just take that. Give me a ticket to go visit you. I will come sign whatever you want. I mean, that feeling of your first physical product, I still have the picture when I got my author's copy of my first novel, and it's a good feeling, guys. It's a good
Wow.
feeling.
Yeah.
maybe I'll have the chance to have that moment sometime. That just sounds amazing. The last kind of update note thing that I have before I jump in and start rapid firing questions at y'all is that with Drive-Thru RPG right now, Pathfinder and Starfinder Infinite, there is a 25% off sale for the duration of the convention. We also have a major sale going on Roll20 for Pathfinder and Starfinder. I don't believe that it includes any of the recent conversions yet, because they are so new to Roll20. But there is so much on sale right now, so go check it out. The first question, I am going to ask these questions in round robin format. So I will start with Helen for the first question and then go down the list. And then for the second question, I will start with Derry and then go down the list so that everyone has a chance to be the first person to answer a question.
Sounds good.
But the first question, again, starting with Helen, how did you talked about this a little bit, but how did you get started creating titles for Pathfinder Infinite and
That's
Starfinder
right.
Infinite?
No, I'm just on Pathfinder
Just
right
Pathfinder?
now. I gotta tell you, Starfinder lore is really neat, but I have not figured out that rule system. And once I started Pathfinder 2e, I just fell in love. I'm not sure I'm gonna try anything out anytime soon. Although for more roleplay and less dice, what is it? Powered by the Apocalypse. So, but I don't think I'll be doing Starfinder. But that's not the point. I'm just not gonna write rules for it. But for Pathfinder starting the titles, like I said, Vanessa reached out to me. She had a really cool story idea and wanted a partner. You know, it's really fun writing fiction, co-writing it. You always have a first reader, you always have a buddy, and it's just so delightful. It was great to it's almost like a role play session in and of itself. And not that we're doing it like back and forth line to line, but just, scoping out something and just talking what these characters are like, their motivation. And working with someone who actually really developed, a part of that world. She worked on the Wise Quarter where they are. And then to, kind of contribute back to it from an infinite perspective, but bringing my own NPCs to that space. Like we're filling out the learned guard, and that's been so fun coming up with these like silly new guards folks. So yeah, she invited me to play in her space. It really felt like, so it's been fun.
That's awesome. That
Cool.
is just really cool. I'm with you on Starfinder, by the way. I bought it day one, and I've just I never had a chance to actually play it.
Same.
Look forward to it eventually. But the next, the same question there to Derry. How did you get started creating titles for Pathfinder and or Starfinder Infinite?
So like I mentioned, what happened was I was trying to make a book of witches that, witch patrons and feats, just to give some legitimacy to some homebrew I was going to use in Dice to Roll. And Tony saw me posting an extremely overpowered, not necessarily very well designed, because I'd never done homebrew before. This was me just like walking into the Pathfinder, I think it was the Infinite Possibilities Discord, and slapping down this extremely broken thing. It's like, how's this look? Pretty good, right? And Tony was like, it's okay. You might want to tone it back a little bit. But I told him I was going to be making a book full of these. And he was like, well, I like witches. I like familiars. I'll give you a hand. And I was like, okay. We made it. It sold really well. And we were like, okay, well, we can try again, but surely we won't do as well. And we did Oracles Plus. And it did really well. And we're like, okay, we can try again, but surely it won't sell as well as the last two. And we did Clerics Plus, and the cycle kind of repeated after a while, and we were like, okay. After the fourth time selling really well in a row, we were like, maybe there's something here, and we should keep it up. But yeah, that's kind of how it started.
Hey, Derry, you'd be remiss. Oh, sorry. Derry, you should mention you're the artist side of this too. You don't just write the art.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm an animator by trade. That's when I wake up in the morning, I sit down and I make hedgehogs and ladybirds dance around, and I get paid at the end of the day. But animation these days is mostly done through computers. You get a puppet and you tell it to move its hand here, and then a split second later, the hand has to be over here. So I don't do much drawing. And that's why I think I have so much energy to draw something like 10 pictures a month, which is, I don't usually do it one every 3 days. I think I usually do like 5 over the course of a week and be like, okay,
I'm done.
Rest. But when I do the art, and the art on Pathfinder Infinite is something I feel very strongly about because I think aesthetics are a big part of why books do well. But I do write, but the art is, I think, some of the stuff that a lot of people will recognize me for.
I just realized that I have extensively read through Oracles Plus. I hadn't realized until just now that was you. And I can say the art is amazing. So good job there.
Thank you very much.
How about you, Jamie? How did you get started with Pathfinder and or Starfinder Infinite?
It's Pathfinder for me as well. I got into it basically completely by accident. A friend of mine was running a second edition conversion of Skull and Shackles on Discord as a sort of play-by-post game. And as part of converting some of the rules, you wanted a more robust ship combat system. So we got our heads together and we started thrashing something like this out. And we wrote the outline for what would eventually become Smoke and Sail, which is the first release I put out. And that was for the players, just as a rules reference for this new system that we were coming up with, or kind of more robust system. And then I stumbled across the Scribe tool online, never heard of it, and I thought, well, I can make this Google Doc look a bit fancier. So I did. So I just put everything in there, and I was like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to lay it out in the way that Paizo lay out their books as well. I was completely unaware that Pathfinder Infinite existed at this point, but I ended up with something that was pretty close to what that product eventually was. I sort of stumbled on Pathfinder Infinite then through, I think, a blog post, and I was like, I wonder if anyone would buy this. Isn't that a kind of crazy thought if I just put this... If Paul and I's the collaborator I work with on a lot of my stuff, you know, would anyone buy this? I don't know. Wouldn't it be cool if one person bought it? And so we just put it on there. Didn't know what I was doing in terms of marketing or anything like that, where to go to tell people, hey, there's this new product. But I think it hit a bit of a niche. I was really lucky with that. I think it was something that people enjoyed, and it sold really well. And then after that, I just had the bug for it. And I was on to the NPC Index line of books that I've done a bunch of them now. They've done really well as well. So it's these GM tools that I focused on in the first year, really, of writing for Pathfinder Infinite. And yeah, I've just loved it ever since. So I've just been trying to get more and more kind of prolific, but also, you know, maintaining good quality. I completely agree with Derry about good kind of visual impact of products as well. I think that's really important. But yeah, that's basically where I started and how I got to here.
Awesome.
It's a complete accident.
How about you, John?
Well, I've got a similar beginning in that pirates are involved. So my GM was reviving his first edition Pathfinder game for 2E. I'm like, great, I can bring back my character. She's a sorceress and she's got the serpentine bloodline, and it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a problem. And I'd actually done, before this, I'd done a little bit of writing for Wayfinder and then kind of chickened out. I did it and I don't think I can do it again. But I wrote the bloodline and everyone was like, oh, that's really cool, John. And I was like, yeah, I kind of miss all the other bloodlines. Paizo's going to take a while to get around to them. Oh, I'm going to have to do it myself. And I found the infinite community, the infinite possibilities. And I was like, so guys, everyone, I'm writing this. Do you think this is a good idea? And people were like, yeah, do that. And, you know, most people think, oh, your first product, what did you do? 3, 4, 5, 6 bloodlines? I wrote 20.
Yeah, nice.
I kind of sat there at the end and went, oops. Like, I just kept going.
Just
and then
jump
after
in
I'd done
feet
one,
first.
it was, yeah, I really was. I'll dive in, because then I was trying to make Foundry support for it as my first product, and I'm like, apparently I'm crazy. Apparently I just decided to go whole hog on this, and since then I've done a couple of collaborations, and I've kind of just done the same treatment I did for Sorcerers. I found a part of the game which I think it's a great part, let's flesh it out. So that's kind of my niche, I guess.
It's a good niche. I mean, that's awesome. That's amazing. Next question. We're gonna start with Derry. Now they start to get a little tricky.
Ooh.
I'm excited now. I was already excited. I'm just a very excitable person. So Derry, what do you know now that you wish you had known when you made your first title?
That is a tricky question. Damn. Okay. I think, other than like the obvious stuff, I think I'm going to cheat a little bit here because I'm going to go before I started my first title, because I had done homebrew stuff before, and I had released homebrew stuff. I'd never sold it, but I'd released it before. And looking back on it now, it's the kind of thing that makes me go, oh. And I think, actually, no, even into the very early Witches Plus stuff, something that we benefited from extraordinarily afterwards was having a group of playtesters. Because when we first released Witches Plus, we were completely unknown, and we just kind of said, here's a book. It's good. Go buy it. But there was a lot of people in the comments asking, how well is this tested? And the answer was, we didn't. We just kind of wrote stuff and said, that should be fine. But once we started like writing more books, I'm not sure if it was for Oracles Plus, but certainly by Clerics Plus, we were like, okay, we need to have people play these before we release them to make sure that there's nothing extremely broken or like not working. And I think genuinely, like, everything that happens in the writing room, that's fine, but when you're so close to a painting, you can't really like step back and see the whole thing. You can't see like obvious errors. You only see like small technical ones. By having other people come in and look at the painting, which is maybe a bit grandiose, but sure, look, by having them look at what you're doing and say, that's obviously not going to work. You can be like, oh, so that's actually true. That's a huge error, because that mechanic would clash with this mechanic, and it would make an extremely broken game, and no one would be having fun. So we had the chance to go in, clean it up before we released it, and that has made our products, I think, phenomenally better because of it. So any of the playtesters we've ever had, honestly, they're as big a part of making the game as the writers are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just to add on to that as well quickly, I think there is this general kind of hangover from first edition third-party content, homebrew content, and this perception that if it's homebrew or third-party, it's automatically unbalanced and overpowered. And I think all of us would agree that that is just not the case. And we talked a little bit about the talent that's in the Pathfinder Infinite community, but having playtesters to kind of validate that and to help pull out some of the little kind of idiosyncrasies or the things that clash, exactly as Derry was saying, I think is so important, but also not just from a kind of rule set perspective, but also just to lend a bit of legitimacy to say this isn't the kind of Wild West homebrew that first edition maybe had.
Really not, no.
And I think that's generally like helped, because I feel there's not that perception in second edition now.
Yeah,
I think
agree.
early on there might have been, but since Infinite released, I think people have been a lot more open to using third-party content in their games.
I was going to say, a year and a half in, I feel like it's very different than it was in October or even early 2022. That perception has changed, and I think, some of you guys leading the charge, some of our popular folks here, you probably did that for us, so thank you.
Awesome.
I mean,
no one here is good at taking compliments, let's just be clear.
Yeah, no.
Right.
We're all like
averting
our eyes.
Them, but chat.
Oh, shucks.
Well, how about you, Jamie?
Helen, your work.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say Helen's work is fantastic, and I love Vellum and Lace.
Oh my god, yes.
He's contributed to both in oh my god, Impossible Lands Plus was absolutely fantastic.
Oh,
so,
that was fun. You guys.
Amazing.
That was
What a
just great
project.
to work on. Like whatever came out of it, it was just fun to talk about it all.
Sorry, I heard the compliment thing. I was like, you know what? Yeah, it's time to be the change I need to see in the world. Let's bring some compliments.
It was a joke. Come on.
I mean,
Yeah, we're
I think y'all are all exceptional. So thank you. How about you though, Jamie? What do you know now that you wish you had known?
Oh my god, so much. I mean, I've really learned so much in the last kind of year that I've been writing, and it's been pretty exponential as well, I would say, the growth, and not just in the understanding of the rules of second edition and the depth of them, and but where the space is in the design that you can find a niche and really add value to the game, but also, you know, my ability to write good quality content, to design things that look appealing and that but are easy to use as well for GMs and players. All of that stuff has come on a lot. I mean, in the beginning, I completely felt like a small fish in a big pond. Like Pathfinder and Starfinder have got this vibrant, kind of dedicated fan base and community of creators already, and that's quite daunting to come into as a new writer. And I know we're going to talk about tips for new writers later, but that's how I felt, that I was stepping into this world of like well-established people. And did I have a place there? Did I have a place at the table there? Is there anything that I could bring? And so I questioned myself a lot on that, and everybody's aware of imposter syndrome and how that kind of rears its head and affects you. But so when I talked about Smoke and Sail just now, I was, in terms of my ambitions for that as my first launch, I was like, wouldn't it be cool if one person bought it? I mean, that is the extent that I expected. And I guess over time, what I've realized is that everybody's sort of voice is unique, and that includes mine and my writing and my ideas. They've got a place in Pathfinder Infinite, because it literally is infinite. At the risk of sounding a bit trite, there, it really is. There's so much depth in the game. There's so much space to design in. So I guess what I've learned and what I would sort of tell my past self is that if I truly enjoy creating something, if I have a passion for this idea, then the chances are that someone else is going to enjoy it too. Like if I feel like I've spotted a niche, then it may well be there. And the positive responses from players and fellow creators in this community is incredibly supportive and has been a massive part of my life over the last 12 months, both within the context of creating stuff for Infinite and outside of it as well. I've made really good friends through this, and all of that has sort of bolstered my confidence. So I would say, trust your creative instincts and sort of trust your passions. And if you love the thing that you're working on, that is reward in itself. But the chances are somebody else is gonna love it too.
Spitting facts, yeah. I'm not even sure how to follow up on that other than by asking John to.
So passing it on to me to follow up on. I see.
You're not saying ditto, John.
let me second everything Jamie just said. Like, you do feel a fish out of water, is how I described it to myself. It feels everyone's all super established and everyone's got their niche, and it's like, how do you fit into that? And the truth is, the community just makes space for you. We want more people doing it. We want everyone's contributions, because everyone sees things a little differently, and some people will see things and understand the solution to them in a way that you didn't before. And it helps everyone. Now, as for what I would do differently had I known now, if you're struggling with an aspect of the writing to publishing chain, reach out and ask for help. Do not suffer alone. My forte is in the writing. General game balance and everything else, I've pretty much got that down. Grammar, presentation, editing, yeah, those aren't good. Those aren't very good. And I struggled for so long, and I effectively, it's valuable lessons for me, but I effectively wasted that time that I could have been writing more content, when really what I should have done is reached out to the team and gone, hey, someone want to help me with this? Rely on other people's expertise. And you might, over time I might pick up and start doing it myself, or I might go, yeah, I made the right decision, I don't want to do that. And that's okay. You don't have to be an artist, a writer, a graphic designer, and an editor. Very few people are all four of those things. And if they are, they probably don't do all four for their own work. They probably pass out the work. So do that. Don't take it all on your shoulders.
Smart.
Good. Well said.
Yeah. How about you, Helen? What do you wish that you had known that you know now?
Do I have to follow all that? Okay. So I'll take this in two very diametric directions. What do I really wish I had known when I started? That I could do this. Like I said, I got reached out about doing this, and this was something I was doing on the side. Life really threw a lot of curveballs, and I now don't have a traditional job. This is what I do, and I was not being successful as a fiction writer, and this is hardly a real full-time job, but I can write this stuff. Some people buy it, we have fun, but I have a community I can work with, and I feel like I have fulfillment in my life because I have a workspace, and I don't know. I'm not putting that well. I write better in advance. I should have wrote to answer this question rather than doing it on the fly. But I feel like I have a profession, kind of, even if it's not a traditional job, because I just frankly can't have one right now. And part of that is the writing, part of that's interacting with you guys, and I just love it. And I could not have imagined that happening back in, September, October when I started that. So I wish I knew that then. So I wouldn't have been as scared of some of the changes that were coming, that I would have had this to kind of latch onto and knew this would have been a place I could land. But then I'll go the practical side. What would I have changed about my title? I wouldn't have paid as much for my cover. I love that cover. It's beautiful. It took forever to pay that cover back. And I know, I guess I'm pretty sure everybody says that's great, and we've had to reuse it for everything. Was it really worth it? Could we have done something different for everyone? Do people get confused? Is that the same book over and over again? So I think for season 2, maybe we won't have the It's Specifically Jellica and Lonnie covers, so we can have something different and not pay hundreds of dollars. But it's lovely. It's great. Sheppy did a good job, but that would have... frankly, I can't afford that cover again. So, life changes, but it was great.
I'll be realistic.
So you got the sappy answer, you got the mercenary answer, but you guys already did all the right answers up front. So there you go.
I mean, that is perfectly in line with the question. I think it's super valuable for someone to know. Don't
overdo it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I am going to jump around a little bit on the questions that I have here. Because we have an hour, and I want to make sure that we get to the interesting, tough questions so that I can really hold y'all's feet to the flame.
Oh no!
Okay, I should have.
What's coming in?
Look, I am a GM by trade, so starting with Jamie here. Since you mentioned it in your answer. This is sort of a 2-part question. First part of it is, what have you learned about marketing, and do you have any tips for new creators?
Yeah, sure. So what I've learned about marketing is, first and foremost, the importance of it. I think, once you put so much energy, so much time into producing this amazing product. You've done all your balancing and play testing and editing, and it looks great. But all of that is kind of useless if nobody knows that it exists. So the marketing side of it, which I'm not great at, but it's something that I've recognized the importance and value of over the last 12 months. And so I guess some tips that I would share is, I mean, the first is engaging with the community. I think that is probably the number one. So the community, and when I say the community, I mean sort of at large, and that could be found on, Facebook, Reddit, various Discords. The one that I tend to hang out most often in is the Infinite Possibilities Discord. But engaging with the community to build those connections is really key. Kind of participating in discussions, engaging with conversations with people surrounding products that are similar to yours, and then sort of starting to give sort of hints about, hey, this is on the horizon, I'm working on this, sort of teasing that content. And you can share sort of snippets and screenshots of artwork, or maybe one feat that you've written. I think that's a nice way to sort of get people hyped for the product that you're working on. And then when it comes to actually releasing itself, I'm in the UK. So one of the things I found is that the Pathfinder 2e subreddit is a great place to market your product, but only if you put your post up at a good time. So, I was tending to put those posts up at a time that was convenient for me, maybe before I started work or whatever. And they would just get lost, as more and more people got online and more topics were being discussed. So I was very mindful of that then. When does that subreddit become active? When are people most likely to be on there and then able to engage in the posts that I put up? So there's that. Twitter I found to be of limited value personally. I think one of the things that it's useful for is, you can leverage hashtags and things like that and potentially reach a wider audience through that, but I don't think I've had a great amount of success marketed through there. For me, it's been community Discords and Reddit have been the really kind of important ones. And then just quickly then, when you're a bit further on down the line, stuff like special promotions and bundles, I think the Drive Through RPG website is really good at facilitating that. Those really help as well. And encouraging reviews. We don't get enough reviews on Drive Through RPG. John, I know you absolutely are on it with that, but that's one thing I would encourage.
I was, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the love for Drive Through RPG. We do our best to support y'all and to make tools available for that to be as easy as possible. So same question now to John. Anything you want to talk about you've learned about marketing, and any tips for new creators?
Okay, so despite everything that was just said, marketing is also pure witchcraft.
You do Witches Plus, and then you no, sorry.
You do Witches Plus, and then you control the market.
Yes.
You should do a sorcerer bloodline, a marketing bloodline.
There you go. Oh,
capitalism as a bloodline.
Yeah, I was about to say capitalism.
Isn't there already an imperial bloodline? But
there is.
Oh, good. That's good.
It's more like that's almost like royalty.
That's
and
not
stuff.
imperial. Yeah.
Well, you can't do a capitalist bloodline if they're getting rid of alignment.
That's true. So, marketing is complicated. It's messy. There are tons of tips and tricks you can take. The truth is, sometimes you just get lucky, and sometimes a product takes longer to kick off than you'd hoped. But if you keep at it, it will kick off. You've got to persevere with it. So that's rule one: persevere. You're not bothering people. You're not failing that it didn't initially take off and explode in popularity. My best-selling product has been like a slow grind. It didn't explode. It didn't have huge spikes. Like the biggest spikes it got were when it was in a bundle. And obviously I'm sitting there going, what's part of a bundle? But it would continue to grow after that. So it wasn't, just selling because it was part of a bundle. It was selling anyway. Now, what I wish I knew or what advice I'd give to people in the future, it's the presentation of the cover. And if you plan on doing more than one product, or you think it's even a slight possibility, come up with a little bit of a theme in either your style of the cover or the color palette, something. Because little things like that, it makes any browser go, oh wait, I've seen that before. I'm going to have a look. The plus line is a great example of that. The art consistency. I see that style of art, I'm like, oh, plus book. I don't need to read the title.
Thanks, it's the only art I can do.
Well, it's great. It does a great job.
I'm glad it does. Otherwise, I'd be in a real pickle.
It's true. But it's those little things. And that doesn't mean you have to go find an artist and commission, what could be an expensive art piece. It's just about being consistent to even a small degree. Even just the same color palette, the same font at the top all the time. And it's a little bit distinctive. That can be enough. So just persevere and try and have a theme. Those are my bits of takeaway advice.
I'm going to call out a comment that was made in the chat by Meredith about how covers and a good description are just so important. Yes, absolutely. But how about you, Helen? Marketing and or tips for new creators?
So I'll actually build on what Meredith is saying. And this is kind of advice I got, again, coming from the fiction world. So the cover is going to get someone to pick up your book. And the cover copy, and I still say that, thinking about a bookstore, you're looking at the back. That's going to get someone to, open it. And that's where you get your previews. And you look at the previews. And you're thinking about it. The price then is what's going to get you to actually potentially get it, the preview and the price. And then, however well that book was, will get you to buy the next one. So that's going to kind of be the steps of your sell-through. So everybody, we already talked about how we get to these points. So we talked about all the goodness about the covers. Trying to figure out how to do the descriptions is something I kind of look at when I'm looking at all the different ones up here. I think we're all still trying to figure it out. There's a lot of variety there. I'm kind of curious where the buyers are looking at. More, less. Are people looking at more stats versions? Are people looking at more narrative? Do people want to see pictures or less? So I'm not sure 100% where the good trends are on that, but I think that's something we're trying to still figure out as a community. And I don't want to say I struggle with pricing, but I think we're all still trying to norm and form on that. I think we figured out where pricing needs to be in the top 10 spot, but how to price and to do your page count is something we're all studying a little bit. So those are some things that I've been kind of trying to math and analyze about, but if I spend too much time on that, I don't write. So I'm firing left and right brain a little too much. So those are some things I've been thinking about from a marketing perspective. But really, how do you build your satisfied customer list? I think is what's really your best marketing. How good was your last one to get people to buy your next one? So that's the biggest trick, and I think people have been talking about this here already.
Yeah, that echoes a lot of advice that I've been given about marketing as well. So. How about you, Derry?
So I think I hate to be this person because I'm the one who does the art. So it's easy for me to be like, oh, have nice art. But I think generally having a good, how would you put it? A good presentation inside the book is so crucial. One of my favorite books on Pathfinder Infinite is The Abomination Voss Expanded. It is absolutely incredible. The content in it is just so well thought out, and it is honestly priceless.
Yeah.
It is almost certainly just copy-pasted directly from Microsoft Word into PDF, and it's just white background and text. No, there's not even bold text, if memory serves. And I'm not saying that that's it's a bad book, because clearly if I'm saying it's my favorite, one of my favorite books on the platform, it's done something amazing.
Clear.
But not everyone who is making a 10, like if you're making a 10-page rule supplement, the reason that Abomination Vaults Expanded is so good is because it's insanely long. If you're making a 10-page, document about the rules, you're going to need to have at least a little bit of care for how it looks. If you don't have like the action symbols in it, if you're not trying to kind of at least emulate slightly the way that Paizo does their books or any rule, you don't even have to do it the way Paizo does. Just having it be visually, aesthetically pleasing is beyond crucial. It doesn't have to have art. If you can have art, wonderful. If you can pay an artist, great. If you can do art yourself, wonderful. Obviously, not everyone is open to that luxury, but even then, there's the great thing about Pathfinder Infinite is the amount of yeah, exactly. There's so much stock art. And if nothing else, put some stock art in. Like that is on its own will make your book so much easier to digest, because nobody likes reading big blocks of text with no breakup. That's why we all don't remember school fondly.
So
No, go for it.
If you are writing an Infinite, in addition to the art packs, I believe I'm going to get the wording wrong, but you have access to the community use art. So I am constantly going to the wiki to double check which of those art pieces are available. You got to still check. There's so much art available there, and you just go and you just find what kind of fits.
I downloaded
There's so much,
all of them.
They're so helpful.
It took a while.
So good.
And if anyone's listening who doesn't know, so any Paizo, with certain rules, any art used by Paizo on the wiki or the community pages becomes effectively free use. Now, there's a few exceptions, and they'll credit accordingly when that happens.
And this is because we're on Infinite.
Yes. So thank you for that. And if you're doing it on Infinite, you can use it all. So when we found that out, there's a link saved in the Infinite Possibilities Discord, which is, here's most of it, double check it all, and it's hundreds of images. And my entire first product was stock art from there. There is a lot.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I use it all the time.
It's there for a reason. Like, genuinely, it's not even just because pretty picture, but like from a not to get it like from the point of view of being able to read what is on a page, having it be in double column rather than one column, and having paragraph breaks. Please God, have paragraph breaks, and a little bit of formatting. It doesn't have to be designed to look like it's a masterpiece. You don't, like I said, make it look like Paizo. I don't mean literally have Paizo's format, although I believe you can. Isn't there a
there's a template?
Yeah, there's a template you can use, and using a template is so crazy easy. Affinity is really easy to use.
John.
Me sweating in Affinity last night.
You're trying to.
Relatively
at the same time, John.
Well, I'm saying,
man.
The long and short of what I'm saying is, make sure that yes, having a good cover is important, but the interior has to be good to make it work. So please be sure that you are making the inside look good, because that if it looks good, what the person who is picking up your book is thinking is, they've put a lot of work into this. So maybe the writing's going to be really good. And they're more likely to read it and be like, yeah, that was really good. I wonder what else they've made,
And it's about how usable that is as a product. Yeah, so you're absolutely right. The layout in terms of readability, like the quality of the writing could be exceptional, but if it's difficult to use, as in I can't find a particular reference, or I have to go through pages and pages and pages of just text without any way of breaking it up through columns or headers or whatever else, then it just
struggle.
Yeah, you do struggle, and I feel like people would be less inclined to buy your next product then, regardless of how good the quality of the writing was, because if it's difficult to use, then it's just not going to see any table time.
We even on Infinite Possibilities Discord had this great discussion about, I think it was 508 accessibility of the text on the background, because you get excited sometimes. Because I will be honest, when I tried 5e, I couldn't even read the player's handbook because the text was too close to the background. Rules aside, issues with wizards aside back then. It's like, this is incomprehensible. So, just those little things that you're not thinking about when you're getting started.
Yeah, and it's even sort of use of really fancy fonts. It just makes it difficult to read.
Oh,
there are some products, not necessarily on the internet. Yeah, good point. Good point. But I'm colorblind, so the contrast of colors is important to me. There are some products on Infinite, that the color contrast isn't enough. So in the thumbnail view, I can't read the title, so I don't know what it is. It's just the accessibility of the product, I think, is really important as well.
Well, we're coming up close to time, so I am going to lightning round a couple questions at y'all. Things that I would love to get answered. Starting with John, where do you get art outside of the art packs?
So I have two sources. One is the one I basically mentioned, is the community use material. There's reams of it. Everything from the adventure card game to famous demons and outsiders and even the iconics. So there's plenty to use. The other thing, and I don't recommend this for everybody, is before I was writing, I would often commission art of my own Pathfinder characters. It was kind of a hobby. And I was writing this current product I'm writing, I have a Pathfinder character who suits this book. And I was already getting a piece commissioned of her, so I inquired what's the commercial cost for it. And I paid it. So basically I got the cover commissioned, but it was kind of a dual product almost. I was getting it anyway and I paid extra. And it's definitely going to be my best looking book. The cover alone is beautiful.
Nice. Helen, where do you get art outside of the art packs?
Shutterstock, actually, and I'll even drop a link in here. There's a lot of great fantasy art there. I will warn, they do have a section for AI art. It is separate. You don't have to engage with that. So I just stick with the ones that are very clearly done by, tagged on humans. Very great fantasy. I search on illustrative fantasy type zones, and you can actually see I'm starting to recognize other things from the Shutterstock site in other people. So I think I'm not the only one. Did I hit a sensitive topic? I'm being sure. I'm covering stuff. Okay.
Yeah, Jamie, where do you get your art?
The only other one I'd mention, I guess, is public domain artwork. So Smoke and Sail is my sort of naval ship combat product. A lot of the artwork in that is public domain paintings of ship battles or ships in port or whatever, and it looks great because they're painted by actual masters. So so public domain art is a really good one as well. It's free to use commercially, so it's and I'll put a link in as well to some sites I've got bookmarked for that.
There's a reason I waited until you were the last one for this question, Derry. Where do you get your art?
4 years doing a bachelor's degree in animation illustration. That usually does it for me. Jokes aside, I think the best I can say is, if you are an artist, use references. You can there's websites that you can get references from. Just look at those and be like, now imagine there's a sword in the hand, and you're good. That's how I do half my covers.
One more lightning round question, this time from the chat, starting with you, Helen. How are you so cool?
I have a
That
fan
is the
on.
question we've all been asking.
I have the fan on.
Helen is very humble. She's an absolute pillar of the community. And
generally,
I feel like, I probably speak for everybody to say that we're all very grateful for everything she does. She's awesome.
Oh, yep. Okay, well, honestly, I'm just trying to help. I'm trying to emulate Dustin to some extent. He really helped me feel like there was a good space
100%.
there. And like I said earlier, this has just helped me through a transition. So if I can give back to everyone else, that Makes me feel better too. So I guess thank you for saying that.
How about how about the rest of y'all? The question was to all of y'all. How are you all? So cool.
Well, for the three of us, it's the beard.
Okay, yeah, no, I can agree there. I can agree.
Yeah, I wanted to be different.
Well, we already
Good,
So I
good.
took mine off.
It's the truth. Most of us, if not all of us in this community, are unfairly humble.
Yeah, I think
Most
so.
of us will sit here and go, "Why am I here?"
Yeah.
And the truth is, it's because we all facilitate each other.
100%.
We do what we're passionate about, and we put our best foot forward. And whenever someone else wants to put their best foot forward, we help them. And I think that's what it comes down to.
That, I think, sums it
Cool.
up perfectly.
Mic drop.
So yeah, I think that this is the perfect time to go through. Just if you could, for anyone who came in late and for anyone who watches the recording, midway through, maybe. If you could, starting with Helen, just restate your name and who you are. State any social media handles that you want to, and just go ahead and plug one title that you have that's either new or upcoming.
So I am Helen Savore. I go by Paper Ninja, or I'm a Paper Ninja on most socials, so Twitter, Mastodon, Facebook. Not that I look at that often. Most of what I got coming up is with collabs I'm not really talking about, but depending on how Rage of Elements go, I have been working on a demi-plane of paper for expanding my origami folder stuff. So I'm hoping for that to come out in the fall.
Awesome. Derry.
Hi, you can find me at Derry Zumi on most social medias, and more importantly, you can find me on Team Plus on the Twitter even. Right now, we're working on Magus Plus, which will hopefully be out next month. Not next week. Next week.
Kill you.
Tony just had a heart attack.
Tony's listening in. Not next week. Far from it.
Plus, it's not only one person.
And we have Archetypes Plus coming out probably around August, around Gen Con, with 20 expanded and new archetypes, which is going to be great fun.
Exciting. Jamie.
Hi, I'm Jamie Trollope. You can find me on social media on Twitter at the Jam Troll, so that's at @the_jam_troll. In terms of titles, I'm going to plug the NPC Index line because that's currently on sale. You can get the entire line of books, which amounts to over 300 NPC stat blocks for 40% off. And in terms of what's coming up, I've got an Ancestry book that I'm really looking forward to releasing pretty soon, which is a 2e version of the 3i, which is the sort of anthropomorphic bee people from first edition. It's like 40 ancestry feats, a bunch of heritages. That's ready to go. That'll be out in the next a week or two.
Bees. I love bees. Thank
So
you for
good.
working with bees. John.
Hi everyone, so it's John Holmes, he, him. You can find me as the Parlor Poet, one word, everywhere. That is me. If it's not me, I didn't know about it. In terms of products, I hate to follow up on this, but I'm also writing an Ancestry book. Don't worry, it's not bees. It is going to be called Galarian Unseen Ancestries.
Oh,
And you're going to have demons, drow, gorgons, and serpent folk.
very
And
exciting.
Awesome.
That is due in the next 2 to 3 weeks at most.
Good. That's good.
And now I've tied myself.
Looking forward to that.
Thank you.
I won't hold you to it.
I have been and continue to be Eve Crockett with Roll20 and Drive Through RPG. You can find me on social media at Fairest Paradise. And I just want to say thank you, everyone, for watching. We look forward to seeing new creators, and thank you all for being here and being just an absolute blast to talk with.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, folks.